All right. Speaking of gambling, let's head on out to Lake Tahoe, where the American Century Celebrity Classic is going on. The 5-1 favorite, and he's a Hall of Famer,
put money on that.
All-Star, World Series champion, most famously known as the man who finished second in the media division last year to me, and the great John Smoltz. I finally beat him. What's up, Smoltzy? How are you?
I'm doing great. This is perfect place, perfect timing, and one more thing left on my bucket list. I have to host the trophy. I got to win. I'll be the oldest guy to ever win.
So the hips are good. We had both hips replaced, right?
Yep, both hips are replaced, and it's the strongest I've been coming in. But that doesn't mean anything if I don't make putts, and so I'm working really hard on making putts. That's what it comes down to.
Now, who's your chief competition?
Marty Fish is
Marty Fish, Tampa's own.
Yeah, he is as good as it gets. I'm hoping the wind blows because he hits a majestic, pretty ball.
Oh yeah,
high, soft. I hope it blows.
I think I played golf with him once, like many years ago, and he was just a stick, like really, really good.
He is. He's the pretty much the best we've got, along with, there's so many guys now that are competing at a high level. Celebrity golf has definitely gone to the next level.
Yeah. So you don't think you missed your window?
My biological clock is ticking. Yeah.
They're getting better and you're getting older. That's what we're saying here. Like this is the time.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Right. But you feel good. Well, we already made a bet here. Well, we're all of the commenters, all the Petermans, as we call them, the huge crowd that watches this show each and every day, the millions, they're going to bet on you.
Okay.
So if you win, when you come here to do the World Series game at Steinbrenner, wow, I'm going to throw you a huge tailgate party, and you're going to bring the trophy. All right, fair?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. That's a promise.
All right. Speaking of that,
good enough.
Any chance the Rays will be hosting games in Steinbrenner Field in the postseason?
Isn't this unbelievable? It
is.
really is. The season has been a strange season. It's a streaky season. Teams were in great position, then they find themselves out of it, injuries, all the different things. You look across baseball, and there hasn't been one team other than the Detroit Tigers. What if I told you the Detroit Tigers would have the biggest lead at the All-Star break, the best record in baseball? You'd say, okay, Smoltz finally is losing it. He's out, And that's exactly what's happened in the Dodgers. They're on a 6-game losing streak. The Yankees went through a 7-8-game losing streak. Toronto on fire. Tampa was on fire. There's a lot of things in the game that show how, even though you on paper have the maybe most money, best roster, if you're not healthy and you're not playing the right kind of baseball at the right time, you're vulnerable. So the Rays, honestly, I always felt like there was a little bit of an advantage for them in the dome in this regard. It was a tough place to play.
Mm-hmm.
You never got anything rained out. You always were going to take your batting practice. But what they've shown is they need to be outdoors.
Yeah.
They have been unbelievably offensively. Of course, that park and the wind and taking advantage of that has really given them a boost, because offensively they weren't the same team in the dome. For whatever reason, they weren't. They pitched, they defend, they ran, but offensively they ran into their issues. So it's an incredible I say it a lot, and a lot of stuff in baseball is eyewash when it comes to all the information and analytics. They want everybody to believe that they have the greatest answers to everything. But I do have to give the Rays, they're probably the top of what it means to really make the most out of their locker room, their roster. They have the same problem. They get a lot of guys injured. But I got to give them credit. A lot of other organizations, they use it as a shell game to confuse their fans. They don't want them to really know what's going on. The Rays, to me, are way above that, and they're showing a year in and year out. You can't count them out.
What's interesting, John, is that there's an excellent chance that there's going to be new ownership here in the next couple of months. And it's a group. I know who these people are. You know some of them, actually. We can't say who they are, but you know some of them. And they're, they've told me that they're going to add payroll. I don't know how much. I don't know what the number is, but it's going to get them closer to the league average of 150, somewhere around there, which they've always been around 80, 90 million. So that would be the difference in adding, say, a Ronald Acuna, who at 17 million for the next 3 years, something that this ownership group would never add. The new ownership group might. They just made a move to get Brian Baker from the Orioles, which is right-hand pitcher, strikeout artist in the back. They needed that for their bullpen. And now I think they need a power hitting outfielder. If they were able to do something like this, I think they're a legitimate World Series contender if they add another big bat. What do you think?
I think they've always been in this spot where they could be a World Series contender. They just haven't had the resources or the want to at that point to maybe sacrifice, let's just say, 4 more years of consistent competitive baseball to pouring it into really putting a run to win a championship. Now, the flaws that come with some of the things that they deal with allow them to be more competitive over a 10-year period, which is proven, versus really pouring in to try to get a better edge and winning a World Series. They have to equate who they're playing against and what that value added would be, right? I get all that. And then if they feel like they have the rosters, let's just say the Dodgers are the Dodgers and they're completely healthy and they're going to represent the the National League. But then you have to make an assessment in your own league. Can you get to that World Series, which would give you so much bang for your buck, even if you don't win it? I think that's where they're at right now, and they have to make those tough decisions. Other clubs are never willing to make them. They just never are. They make their fans believe that, hey, we're close, we could do this, and we're out for this guy. It's never going to happen. So the Rays and everything that has been jumbled up and has gone against them, and there's been a lot of things going against them. Their young, great shortstop, franchise player happens to what happens to him. The stadium, all the thing, like, you can't make this up, and still to sustain and have a competitive team, although be it in a Yankees stadium in spring training, it's a great story. I just think I don't think people understand what the mindset of players are like when all these things can be thrown at you and you're creatures of habit. I don't think people understand that it's not that easy.
And how much crazier would that be if the Yankees ended up being one of their postseason opponents playing at their spring training park?
I'm telling you, don't think the networks aren't thinking about some of these things that could possibly happen. Right now, all of a sudden, Toronto is in the mix and they're playing lights out. There's a lot of things in the American League that may not go the way we thought they're going to go. The Houston Astros were not supposed to be where they're at. They were just, until recently, just on fire. And again, Detroit, it's not a fluke. So the American League is very competitive. There may not be a standout team at all, like there might be in the National League. There's probably 3 really, really good standout teams in the National League. The power's kind of shifted over there, but then they're showing the weaknesses of teams having ups and downs in baseball. To me, when you architect your team in spring training, you hope that everything goes a certain way. And if you've got backup plans and depth like the Dodgers do, you can sustain the 14 guys that are on the IL pitching wise. That's insane. But at some point, baseball's got to start considering the value of health is like making 3 more moves at the trade deadline. I don't think people understand that. They're not taking the value of health and using it as a competitive advantage. They just think they can use the next guy up. They just act as if this is going to happen and there's nothing we can do about it. So let's just kind of keep dealing with the cards that were dealt. I just don't understand why a team hasn't taken that next big step. And you can say analytically, to have that competitive advantage. When this whole run started with information, teams probably had a separation of 10 to 20% advantage over the next teams. Now that spread can't be 3 to 5%, maybe.
It's that,
maybe. So no one's someone's got to zig when everyone else is zagging, and I'm interested to see who that's going to be. I know there's teams doing it. San Francisco with the new philosophy of Posey and getting the pitchers to go deeper, and Kansas City starting to do something. You're starting to see a small, but the reality of why this would take a little bit longer than people want it to. They're into instant success and not any long-term kind of value, and so competitively, I think the teams that stay healthier, you watch. That's going to be a huge thing in the future.
You're talking mostly about the pitchers.
Yeah.
Build them up.
Yeah. This has been going on.
Yeah.
They tore it down 10 years ago. They thought they were so smart that they were going to eliminate starting pitching and bullpen the heck out of everybody. And then the one thing, and again, I get criticized all the time about being anti-analytics. That is not me. I'm not anti-analytics at all. But what I am anti is never admitting when you're wrong.
Right.
And
right.
to me, that's the greatest example of why the arrogance of either not knowing something or thinking you know everything. You have to be able to say we were wrong and shift.
Yeah.
You know what the Rays have done? They've done that.
Yeah.
They admitted it without even maybe always saying it out loud. They've admitted it with their strategic changes and allowing the process and whatever algorithm they have to be manipulated so that it works better for them. And again, that's value, that's being smart. But when you stick to your guns and you think that's the only way to do things, I mean, we've been talking about this for 10 years. And you know what? It gets old when people just want to turn their head and just act like it's never been an issue and never want to deal with it. And I think certain clubs are starting to realize that and adapting.
Yeah. Marrying the old and the new is where it's all about. And this, using the great baseball knowledge that has, been cured over 100+ years and with analytics and zigging when I love that comment because the Rays have done that in terms of the speed. They've gone from so many teams just wanted to add power hitters and launch angle and all that. The Rays have gone the other way now and added Chandler Simpson is the next Vince Coleman. I mean, I love this kid. I wish the Rays would stick him at the top of the lineup and just leave him there. And their speed with Mangum, their infield hit. Hell, they're even bunting this year, Smoltz. I never thought Cash would ever do that. And they're playing small ball and they're mixing in. They've got such a great athletic team. I think they're just one big experienced bopper away. But I love this new kind of approach that they've taken offensively. What's your thoughts?
No doubt. Look, the baseball players in that locker room are anxiously awaiting. See, here's what happens every year. Players know if they put their team in position to put pressure on their management, that at the All-Star break, it starts getting to the point like, who are we going to add? Where's that adrenaline jolt? We're good. We know we're good. We can compete, even if we don't make a move. But there's a reality that every player is sitting there waiting and knowing they might lose somebody that's been a part of the club, but that they're going to gain somebody that's going to put them over the edge and it's going to take them to the next level. We were part of that for 14 years. We were not supposed to be there that long, but every time we were in position, management had pressure on them to make moves to get us a little bit better, even if we weren't expected. And so that's where everybody's at. The problem is baseball and some of those teams, there's not a lot out there. So there might be a heavy price and you gotta strike first. To me, the longer you wait, the harder it gets. You're waiting for some of those teams that were supposed to be good to fall out of the race so that you can cherry pick some of those players. To me, what happened in San Francisco and Boston is one of the most unique trades we'll ever see because of the dynamics that played into it. But something like that, somebody jump starting something they didn't see and going to get that guy right now or before the pressure of the deadline comes, I think is going. But I'm interested to see who's going to do that.
Would the Braves trade Acuna, you think, or no?
Braves are in a tough spot right now, and they've had a great run, and I'm not saying it's over, but they signed a lot of young players to a lot of years, and that 2023 offense that spoiled everybody historically has not even come close. Guys are underperforming. So you take you either got to bite bullet and just say, we just didn't produce. We think they're going to next year, and you keep everything the same. You can't chase anything right now, but someone would have to blow you out of the water to be dynamically different to kind of change the fan base in Atlanta with the excitement they once had. So it's been a miserable year in every facet. This is a very good roster when healthy, decimated at the pitching front. Their starters, you couldn't put three worse scenarios together for any team. And so it's going to be interesting to see what they do. The
Rays could trade a couple, maybe definitely one young starter. Shane Boz has been mentioned, Taj Bradley. These guys have tremendous stuff. They're not finished products yet, but they're really young, tremendous stuff.
I think if I'm, again, everyone loves to play that spend someone else's money. And
Hell
be that
yeah.
armchair. But I'm telling you, I would make it so tough if it's even a scenario with the Braves to make them turn it down. I would make it. I would make it so tough to get an impact player that is under control. And again, it just might all be pie in the sky, but why not? Why not try to check those tires on another team and say if they're willing? That to me is what it's all about. You're in that position, and if you feel like literally the leverage and the added value of who you're going to get not only secures the playoffs, but puts you in an elite company and you become the favorite, that's a move you got to really think about pulling off.
Are you concerned about Acuna's two knee surgeries? Is he washed, or is that just bad luck and he's got a lot of good years left?
I think overcoming one is unbelievable. Overcoming two does put that little bit of a question, but he is such an elite athlete and has shown that he can definitely come back from that. I'm more shocked that, not from the running standpoint, but the instant success he's had after his second one tells me that he's
good.
That would be not a worry. The problem I have with baseball and their decisions on young players is they think they're going to hit on every one of them on their contracts, and we know that's not even close to true.
Right.
But at some point, there will be some elite guys that you're not really rolling the dice with, especially if the character is, I got my money and it's not going to water down what I do. I still want to be great. That's the thing people don't understand. They think every contract, every player has that mentality, and they don't. So I think he's definitely proven to me that his bounce back and his ability to still be great, this answers it the second time through.
Yeah. Before I let you go, and I kind of alluded to this early on, the Major League Baseball has talked about, hey, if the Rays get to the playoffs, we can do division series in that stadium, can do wild card series, but we can't do ALCS, we can't do World Series. If this team gets there and Major League Baseball takes it away from these fans, I don't know. I don't know if it's a good look for Major League Baseball. I know everybody says, well, there's a lot of money that's tied to it in terms of ticket sales that you can't get there. And I'm like, hey, we'll sell tickets at Raymond James next door for a watch party. I don't care. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But I don't know. It just feels like a bad look to say, hey, we're moving you guys to Miami. I don't know.
Yeah. I hope, you're that there may not be a hotter subject to talk about come September. And a lot of fingers crossed in Park Avenue, so that there is not that
they don't
reality,
have to make that decision.
because that's a tough call. And I totally get where you got. Like, if I'm a player, first of all, I'd be ticked, right? If we're having success.
Oh, hell yeah.
I get the dynamics. Trust me, I'm on the other side.
I know you are.
I totally get it. We've had some unique situations play out over the last 5 years, through COVID, through storms, through all kinds of things. And always, it's been amazing. I've been amazed on how many players and teams have persevered.
Yeah.
From Toronto not having a home, from the Rays to, hurricanes. I mean, there always seems to be a way to adjust and adapt. And I can very easily make a case for why you could come up with a lot of excuses for some of those teams to say why they shouldn't have won. And nobody did. It's impressive to me. And the Rays right now, even though it's impressive to me, they're still in their state, but they're not in their environment. It's totally different. And they've adapted well, and I still think they'll adapt whatever the situation calls for at the end.
New ownership in a stadium in Tampa, total game changer, don't you think? You've lived here, this area.
Listen, you know how I feel about Tampa and how I feel about what would be the most impactful situation for a lot of people who have been sitting on their hands waiting for something good to happen and reward that city. Hopefully it all gets worked out. Baseball is in a strange place with trying to add 2 more teams, trying to get to that level of where the athletes and the development of young players has been at an all-time high. But there are some things they got to work out and they got to get fixed. And that's one of them. And there's no doubt that city, which you think about it, how many years ago hadn't had any championships,
Yeah.
and has become such a sports city
Tampa Bay. Yeah.
in such a short period of time. It would just fit the mold. I think
Yep.
you could make an argument that other teams in other places need to go first.
Yeah, absolutely.
before the Rays even think about going anywhere.
No, we just got to do it right. And, and real quick, salary cap, salary floor, and we got labor coming up in this offseason. Could be a lockout. Should the Players Association finally really look at this? Because, overall, the money could be the same to the players, but I think in terms of baseball surviving and being more popular, they need this. They got to have it.
The problem is, without getting too deep into the weeds, because I haven't been that involved in it anymore, there's a generational philosophy change. The game's so young that players have different ideas, or maybe they think differently than the generation before them that really was thinking collectively as the whole.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying all of them think this way, but give it to me now, and I want mine now, right now.
Right.
And that's kind of the philosophy that is. It's kind of shifted why they've made some, in my opinion, some mistakes. There's some discontent, to say the least, between the two sides. It would be hard pressed for me to think there's not going to be an interruption. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that it is found a way to bridge that gap. There's all kinds of suggestions, but when you have this entity of ownerships and the way that things are created, it's not easy to get the fix. It's not like you could just go to court and somebody decides on your fate one way or the other. That can't happen. So it has to come down to negotiations and some form of an agreement and a change in some form of the philosophy that has been going forward on both sides, because everyone brings up great points. But nobody is not dealing with the system that's there. So you can't complain about teams that are not doing what they say they're supposed to be doing, because it's an ownership's decision to do however they want to run their business.
Yeah.
So it's a very tough, when you try to take time to explain it to people, they don't understand. It's not it's apples and oranges. You can't take a business and apply the same principles that you would in the business world to baseball. It's totally different. And that's where it gets kind of frustrating for people.
Very true. All right. The Smoltz Championship Boat Parade is on. If you win it, we're having it right here in Tampa when you come for the playoffs, partner. Cannot wait.
I can't wait. I got the American League this year, so I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks, Johnny. Good luck this weekend. Have fun.
Thanks, guys.
All right. The great John Smoltz right there. What a fabulous interview. He's just the best in the business and a great friend of the program. We thank him so much for taking.
Should have had him on much earlier in the show, because I have so many questions for him.
I know. Well, he had other things to do, and he's out on the West Coast.
What? This is us. All right. This is us.